You're listening to Sarah Talk. It's political.
If you want a country where you have to salute the flag, North Korea sounds like a lovely fucking place. I don't want to be in a place where honoring the flag is compulsory.
Critical.
Hang on, I'm gonna change some words here. All right, ready? Adults with religious confusion who truly believe in a higher power that created us and actually cares what we do with our penises and vaginas should be treated with care, compassion, and kindness, but must not be officially affirmed in their confusion, no matter how sincerely held. Fuck you.
And positively LGBT positive.
In many states, you can still be evicted from housing simply for being gay or transgender. Stand and fight with us.
Oh, and occasionally completely absurd.
I don't know if you've ever seen a lightning bug, but he flies around with a flame of light coming out of his behind. The lightning bug got a flame coming out of his butt.
It's a beautiful night tonight. All the sodomites are out.
And now, from Orlando, Florida, your host, Sarah Austin.
Hey everybody, welcome to SarahTalk. I think this is going to be episode 85. So Monday, we were out at Valencia College East Campus in Orlando for Transgender Day of Remembrance. And we had our mobile studio set up there in the quad, as the kids call it. I don't think that's what they actually called it, but that's what I would have called it because I'm old. So we had our booth set up there, and Jennifer, who's one of the organizers of the event, is she just does so much for the community, and she was bringing people by to us all day long. It was really great. She just dragged people up and go, here, talk to these people. They do a podcast. So we talked to a few people, and we're going to run those for you now so that you can hear their stories and about some of their organizations. We had somebody from the Gay Straight Alliance at the college. We had somebody from the Human Rights Campaign. Greg from PFLAG, you're going to love him. He's like everybody's favorite grandpa. He's got jokes for days, and he was singing. So there is singing ahead. All right, let's get to our first interview. And these were all streamed on Facebook Live, though we didn't have the best Wi-Fi signal. So if you tried to watch those, here is the better audio. You can actually hear what they're saying. For each interview, I'm not going to stop and break and do an introduction for each one. I'm just going to let them roll back to back. So we'll get started here with Britney. Hey, Facebook land. We are back live. We are at Valencia East Campus in Orlando. This is Transgender Day of Remembrance. And we're just going to talk to some folks who are cruising through at the event here today. Oh, thank you for that. That's good. Moving the bottle.
Or the bottle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we have with us Britney. Britney, why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
Well, I play semi-pro football, semi-pro baseball. I play half here in the States and half in Australia.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
So,
That's fun.
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah? So what was Jennifer telling us? You're the second transgender athlete at the school? Or trans female athlete?
The second trans athlete for the Anarchy. I guess
Okay.
Jennifer would be the first. She played.
Oh,
She was
now it
one up
makes
on me a little
sense.
bit.
Got it.
I
Okay.
see. Oh, that's really cool.
That is cool.
You know, this is one of those days where we kind of have to strike a balance of being somber and thoughtful, and but we also don't want it to be a negative, sad thing either, right? We've got to turn that into power. So, what does it mean for you to be a part of this particular event?
It's always pretty cool coming out because it like you said, it's that good balance of where it's like you get to see old friends that you kind of went through your transition process with, and it's really happy and inviting. And then at the end of the night with like the candlelight visual, you get that reminder of how many people are struggling, even more so than you are. So
Right. How much more we have yet to do.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of work to do. Do you have any particularly interesting, like, coming out stories that you'd like to share? Anything like that?
I'm trying to think of a good one, but actually my coming out was pretty boring.
Yeah?
I mean,
actually,
I'd like to say
way,
that's
though.
good, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I hate to feel that way, but I love when people say that because it's usually means it was positive. If
Yeah.
it was boring.
Yeah.
It was
I only had one really like negative kind of reaction, which was my father, and still kind of working through that.
yeah.
But everybody else was overwhelmingly like pretty positive about it.
That's awesome. And so, have you lived here all your life, or
Yeah.
the back and forth to? So the back and forth to Australia, is that just for the sport, or?
That's just for baseball, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but I'm born and raised in Central Florida.
Cool.
Very cool.
Another native Floridian.
Yeah, I'm a native.
You are too?
I was born in South Florida. I'm raised in South Florida.
Nice.
Yeah,
Not that
so-
many of us.
No, it's
Right.
dwindling population.
You know, I think you said Central Florida. I think this is kind of a hub of gayness. I think we call it, right? Like, if there's a safe place to be who we are, this is kind of.
Orlando is a
Yeah.
Yeah,
it really
it's like
is.
you remember in Ghostbusters with the all the energy that what. You can't see the face palm on the video. All of the energy that's focused on the one building in New York
Yeah.
City, and yeah, it's kind of like that. Like all of the no.
I thought you were going Stay
All
Puft
the-
Marshmallow Man,
all
and
the
I was
rain-
trying to.
Oh, how do
I-
we work that in?
How
All
do-
of the rainbow energy just kind of. No.
No, honey, because do you remember what that energy was from?
Evil.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, I remember.
Find
I
a
was just
different.
saying
I know.
in a positive way. Jeez.
Find a different comparison and come back to me.
Well, you know, the point is, like, I grew up in a very small town in Illinois, and like there wasn't any representation at all. It was
Even with it being like a northern state, like, because like down here in the south, like Eustis and
the
Narcoossee,
South.
but you had that like. Was there a big difference growing up in a small town up north? Like, could you see that like people would kind of be
Oh yeah.
weird to LGBT?
So like I describe it as, so it's a town of 1,400 people in the middle of nowhere. Corn and soybeans. That's it. Like that's what everybody did, right? You worked on a farm.
One blinking traffic light.
Yeah, right. Not even that. When I was a kid, I mean, one 4-way stop and 9 churches.
Yeah.
And white people as far as the eye could see, right? Cishet white people as far as the eye could see. And that's what I grew up with. And then to come down here, you know, because I didn't come out until I moved down here, like really. But to come down here and see how open people really are, and like, you are just kind of accepted, and yeah, we got our bigots too, but it's nothing like it was back home, you know? Like, and I was in school in high school in the mid-90s, and you know, even then, in that place and time, just gay was like a hush word.
Yeah.
And people just didn't like. It was a scandal. Oh my God, did you hear so and so? I can't believe it. You know. So God, if I had come out at that time, there's no way. There's no way. So anyway, I think that's awesome that that this is the better place. That you know, overall.
Yeah.
But then also that just kind of shows like a change over time too. That we are becoming more accepting and tolerant. I think that's great.
Especially Florida's like a melting pot anyway, so I think even like small town Florida we've always been like a melting pot of culture.
Yeah.
So it's kind of been easier to like transition into being open.
Yeah. We talked about, we were in Polk Pride this past summer. And Polk County, for being what Polk County is, like the number of trans people that were there, just staggering.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
Really
I couldn't
surprised
believe it.
at that.
I'm
It
still
was-
surprised at that.
Yeah.
But that was like that's
Yeah.
awesome, even for like redneck hillbilly Polk County, you know?
Yeah.
The Red County.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, well, we appreciate you stopping by
cool.
and chatting
Thank
with us
you.
for a little bit.
Awesome. So nice meeting you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. All right, everybody ready?
Ready?
Is this going to be edited afterwards so that any stupid stuff I say gets edited out?
Sure.
Okay, good. Then you won't. Then I won't. Then it doesn't matter what I say, right? Because it'll all be.
It'll
but I
still
mean,
be recorded. So.
Right, yeah, right.
Oh yeah, well that's what's called blackmail, you know. That'll come out in years. But I'm never going to be a senator, so it doesn't matter.
There you go. Did it go?
To be a senator costs tens of millions of dollars in Florida. I mean, in terms of the... Yes, that was because in 1976 there was a ruling by the Supreme Court called Buckley v. Vallejo, and that's the ruling that held that money equals speech.
Oh.
And ever since then, a couple of things have happened. One is that people have gotten more and more disgusted with government, but also there's been a disconnect between productivity and people's salaries.
Oh yeah.
And it's all because money equals speech. So money can buy speech, which means money can buy access, and hence power. And all like that. But that's not what you're talking about.
No, we're having civics.
But this is a
with
nice,
yeah.
lesson of the day, kids.
We
Pay
we could do other things too. We could do.
Right.
I was doing a little bit of improv, theater there the other round over there.
Yeah.
If I were a rich man, all day long I biddy biddy bum. If I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work.
Now I have to listen to that soundtrack again. It's been too long.
Oh.
All right, so we're here
With Greg.
with Greg from PFLAG. Yeah.
You watch her.
Kiddo.
She's going.
Lord, who made the lion and the lamb,
So,
you
Greg.
decreed I should be what I am. Would it harm some grand eternal plan if I were a wealthy man?
It's like somebody knew we needed a laugh right
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Okay.
All right, so the casting agents will be in touch with you soon.
All right, cool.
And so Greg is here with PFLAG.
Right.
Why don't you start off and tell us about PFLAG?
PFLAG has been around since 1972, however many years that is, 40 plus years. We in Orlando have been here for 27 years, and PFLAG originally stands for Parents, Families, and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. It was founded by the mom of a gay son in New York City in 1972. But we were really more inclusive than that. We really are not just lesbians and gays, but we involve the entire LGBTQ plus spectrum of individuals and their families. To some extent, we're a little different than an advocacy organization composed of LGBTQ people because we really are interested in involving and helping the parents and the families of LGBTQ individuals. Okay, and so we meet every month, 12 times a year, even December, in downtown Orlando, and we have a support group. We're one of the largest PFLAG chapters in the United States. There are 300 chapters of PFLAG in the United States, comprising over 100,000 members. And we're one of the larger ones. We're one of the most technologically savvy ones. You come to our website, which is www.pflagorlando, that's PFLAGORLANDO.org. And you can, or you can download our free phone app.
Oh wow!
On getting advanced there.
On Google Play Store or iPhone Store, and you can access the entire library of information for PFLAG National. A lot of informative books and helpful information. We do a lot of stuff here locally too. We're an advocacy and outreach and education organization. We go to places like this, educational places, Valencia College. We go to UCF. We go to government organizations like the VA hospital. We go to the U.S. Navy Training Center down in the Research Park just south of UCF. We go to businesses like Darden Restaurants and Walt Disney, which is a very LGBT-friendly business. And we do civic things. We clean up 2 miles of SR 50 down Colonial Drive downtown every twice a year. This most recent one was just the first one after the hurricane.
Oh, my.
And so we had 27 bags. We had 1,000 pounds worth of stuff.
Oh, wow.
And then what we do is after that we have a group breakfast that's paid for by PFLAG. So
that's cool.
It's kind of a nice time to get together and have a sort of social interaction with each other, as well as helping out the community and stuff like that. So it's not all fire and brimstone and sacrifice and all of that. It's fun.
Though that's fun.
It's fun too.
Yeah.
And honestly, okay, so I've been at the group for 4 years.
Okay.
And come to roughly around 48 meetings, and each meeting is different than every other meeting. You learn things. I've heard things at each meeting that I've never heard before. And so the gamut, the spectrum of experiences, information that you can, glean, insight from is just huge. And it's just huge. And it's new every month. And so we have families. More recently, in the last 18 months, we've had a lot more involvement of transgender families and individuals, and there are families who have gone through this process in years past who can give insights about the legal issues associated with that, the medical issues, all kinds of things. Is there a time limit to this, or can I just filibuster these pods so there's an unlimited number of pods?
Absolutely.
And we can just cast them out to the wind. There's pods flying out from this.
Now, you're talking about an increase. You're seeing an increase in particularly transgender related individuals.
Right.
That's something that I think mirrors very well kind of the global society. We've got friends who I have a friend whose child recently came out as trans.
Okay.
And so we kind of connect with them on Facebook and stuff to help them out. But the same idea. They're in I'm gonna say the wrong state, Michigan. I think they're in Michigan.
It's Michigan.
There are PFLAG chapters in every state in the United States, multiple. Like I say, 300 around the country. A good 20 at least in Florida. Trans is the new gay, right? Gay was gay was the new thing. Now, gay is so normal now.
It's common.
Because,
common.
Look,
I've been trying to replace the word normal with common.
That's fair.
Roughly 10% of the population, approximately, is gay or lesbian, and so what that means is that if like 4 people, odds are at least 50-50 that one is gay.
Right.
Okay, and you didn't know that before because they were not saying, they were in the closet. Sure. They weren't, they weren't, being in any way obvious about it. And so now everyone's come out, and you learn that your uncle, your brother, your workmate, the person you depend on for, whatever, your lawyer, whatever,
mailman,
everything is gay, and then you learn that it's not, they're not this thing, this alien thing.
Yes.
They're real people, and they're just the same as you or me.
Right.
And so that has kind of made the gay and lesbian connection with society much more solid, and that's happened really in the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. And so now you have a few examples from the entertainment world and the political world of transgender individuals,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And so now trans is a little exotic to many people, but it's not unknown.
Right.
So now we are societally changing. We're societally changing from, gay is the different thing to trans is the new different thing.
Yep.
And hopefully that will anneal itself through the social experience in the next decade, and we won't have to have these issues and these problems.
Absolutely.
And well, but we're always here. There's a saying on the PFLAG website is that one day all members of society will be treated in fairness and equality, but until that day, PFLAG is here.
Yep.
So.
All right. Isn't that what we're all working for, to not have to do it anymore?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So I have one final question before we let you go. Looks like we've got some other folks lined up here.
Yes, they needed to cast some pods too. I'm hogging. I'm filibustering all the pods. So
how did you said you've been involved for about 4 years in PFLAG?
Right.
How did you get involved? What
okay.
brought you to the organization?
Amazing. Random chance, okay? I was on the internet and I was reading a news item, and there was a photograph of someone who, and the caption on the photograph, on the news photograph, was so-and-so from PFLAG or wearing PFLAG, insignia or something like that. And I said, PFLAG, well, I guess I should learn about this. What the hell is it, right? And so I turned to Mr. Google, who knows everything.
Yes.
And Mr. Google told me, parents, there's an organization for parents. Oh, my God. Our son, my wife and I, our son is trans male, but at the time, she, at that time, thought that she was gay. Gay felt easy. That's the word she used, easy, to describe herself, but it wasn't right, okay? But in any event, so at the time, I was the parent of a lesbian daughter, and so I said to myself, well, gee whiz, I should learn about this organization that involves parents. I guess, you dummy, you should have thought about this years and years ago, because it was multiple years from the time that we first, she first came out, that until the time we found out about PFLAG. But so just random chance. So now, 4 years in, I'm the secretary. So I do, a lot of, and I do these outreaches and stuff like that, bring the tent and all like that, and my son has just this year, just in July of 2017, told us that going through therapy, was diagnosed as sort of textbook gender dysphoria. And so, okay. And now, the amazing thing has changed is that his perspective, his self-esteem, his extroverted, kind of side that he never displayed before is out there. Self-confidence is up, and it's night and day. It really is.
Love it.
So, and I feel much better about that. And so,
great.
things are personally looking good, and again, my story and many others every month at our PFLAG meetings downtown Orlando. Okay, and so again, go to your iPhone or Google Play Store and get our app. We're the only chapter of PFLAG in the United States that has phone apps.
Oh, wow.
Including national.
That's cool.
That's something to be.
So
got to be some jealousy there.
If you go to the store and you just type in PFLAG, you will find our app.
Cool.
And
we'll
that's
have to check it out.
All right.
Awesome.
Oh, bye-bye, Mr. Machine.
Greg, thanks for stopping by and chatting with us and singing for us.
Are we recording still? No, we're not recording anymore, right?
All right, welcome back, Facebook land. We are back on... Really, Russell? We need a new roadie if we're taking applications for new part-time patron roadie. Anyway, so we're still here. We are at Valencia East Transgender Day of Remembrance 2017, and we have with us now Jennifer from the T Network.
That's me.
Tell us, what on earth is a T Network?
What is a T Network? So the T Network is a transgender professional resource group that I started 3.5 years ago here in Orlando. Cool. It is a nonprofit, and it was actually started with the amazing help of the NBA.
Very cool.
And also at the time Lockheed Martin, which I worked for back then. And and it is a group that's really geared towards the transgender and ally community. And it's not meant to be a support group. It's really meant to be more. It's meant to be a group for people to get together, network, and I also bring in resources from everywhere, from around the community. I think from healthcare, local politics, like anything that's really going to serve that community, we bring it to the group. And we meet every month. And it's been amazing. It's been going strong for 3.5 years now. So.
Oh, that's great.
Cool. How did you get involved in it? What was the...
Oh, that's a great question. I
impetus
get that a lot.
yeah.
As a cisgender woman, I get that a lot. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, what's
wrong with you?
No, that's not what I meant now.
I know you're kidding. No, and they're literally my family now. I'm no kidding. So when I worked for Lockheed Martin, I worked there for 16 years, but I actually came in contact with a fellow employee that I became very close to that transitioned at Lockheed. And I was privileged enough to really experience that with them. And the good and the bad that went along with that. And it just woke up something in me. I mean, I was already part of the LGBT community, but I really had never fully rounded that out and really understood the whole community and especially what that group of people goes through. And I really started to look around locally, and, there were support groups, which are amazing. Yep. But really there was something missing. You really didn't see the community out with everybody else. You really didn't see people, supporting them in a professional journey especially. And that was part of what really drove it initially. I sat down with the president of the NBA at the time, and I was just kind of chatting with him, and I said, I don't see this. Why don't we have this? Why don't we have these resources? Why aren't we really promoting leaders right in that community? And he was like, do it now, And then, it was like, that's why I say that I contributed, so much of the success to them initially because I was one girl with an idea. Yeah. And they really put the backing to that idea. And then partnered me with Camille Brandon, if you haven't met her before, she was running a meetup group at the time. And she and I got together, and the next thing you know, it was just kind of like bringing the forces together. And since then, we went from 10, 15 people to I'll have events with 40 to 50 people at them. And the coolest thing is every month we'll have people that have never been before. Yep. And they always come back and say, I felt so welcome. I would come back, and that's huge. That's just so huge to have that, to have people come out. I've had people that come out at the Teen Network, and this is the first time they've ever been themselves in public.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah.
Like, I remember those days.
Yeah.
And Orlando's been amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
I really took a chance a little bit because I didn't put us in LGBT clubs. Nothing wrong with that, right? But I didn't just send us to the center. I didn't put us in, I didn't hide us. I actually put us purposefully in large settings and public settings and restaurants and right in the middle. And I would have someone even tell them who was coming.
Right, I have a group that I'd like to book time for.
We're called the Teen Network. We'll be there next Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
And I have yet to I've had zero negative experiences.
That's excellent.
So good.
Which was beyond my expectation and has done so much for the whole, for the whole Orlando area to say, like, sure, they're coming. It's been huge, so...
So if we have listeners that want to get involved, tell me how we do that and what kind of resources are you looking for?
Great. Wonderful questions. So, we need everything. No, okay, in all seriousness, so we meet the last Wednesday almost of every month. I say almost because, like, November, December, we move it around a little bit for the holidays.
Right.
We are on Facebook, and I know some people don't do Facebook, but one of the things I do, it has been the easiest way to get the word out about an event and have a dynamic environment versus static web pages. So even if you're not a Facebook person or if you don't want to publicly exist, you can search for us. I always make our events public, which means anybody can find this month. It's always the Teen Network, and it'll be, October Teen Network event, November Teen Network event. So if you Google that, you're going to find it. Cool. We have a public page that you can just like or follow. Okay. We also have a private group you can join, and it is private.
Very cool.
So that's definitely out there as a way to keep up with where we're going to be that month. Yep. I also make sure that groups like Two Spirit always know. So if somebody's going to a counselor there, they will know what's happening, where the next Teen Network event, and they often tell their people that go there, hey, you should check that group out.
Yes, they did.
Yep, they did.
Yes, they did.
So we do rely on a lot. So I try to make sure all the major, other organizations that support us know about our events. They can also reach out to me, and I will give it to you. And I know people, but Jennifer.Kurzawa, my last name, Kurzawa @gmail.com. very easy. Anybody can reach out to me at any time. They can friend me. They can just send me a note and say, hey, I don't do this whole public online thing. Just tell me where you're going to be. They don't have to RSVP even. They can just walk in. They don't have to walk in dressed, by the way, either. If they're not comfortable yet,
come as you are.
Come as you are. Yeah, we're the most accepting group of people I have ever had the pleasure of being with.
Excellent.
That you come in and you will be 100% welcome. It doesn't matter, who you are, how you're dressed, where you came from, what age you are. I have parents bring kids. I have kids bring their parents. I have people come. I mean, literally every possible age group and transition level come to our group.
And that's huge because as parents, like when we do events like this, as you can see, they're
my 10-year-old
getting
is right
into
there.
things.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, good.
She has been traveling with me through my crazy life since she was probably 4 or 5, and she'll be the one. She used to come up to me when I didn't tell somebody what I was doing and be like, "Why haven't you told me at my home?" Like, that's not what we were talking about, So
awesome.
please bring. They should bring their kids. They should bring their family. Yeah. It's that environment. Like I try to never put us somewhere that's not kid friendly. Yeah. So absolutely.
Awesome.
So,
Got anything else?
That's it.
I think we're good. I think we covered the.
Thank you so much for stopping by and
appreciate
talking about your group.
Absolutely. Have
Thank
a good
you,
one.
Jennifer.
Bye.
We're out at Valencia East Campus in Orlando, and we're outside at the tabling event for the moment. We'll be moving inside in a little bit for the speaker session. But we're just talking to some folks that are cruising by, and now we're going to talk to someone from the GSA here on campus. Why don't you tell us your name and a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Ishmael Perez. Is this a good volume?
You're good.
You're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Ishmael Perez. I'm the president for the GSA, as I was just introduced. And for me, I guess I could talk about GSA, what we are.
Talk about what you guys do here. So let me tell you this. So I'm from a very small town in the middle of nowhere, Illinois. And this was in the mid-'90s.
Okay.
When gay was still just like whispers, right? Mm-hmm. You didn't talk about it. And if someone was outed, it was, oh my God, did you hear that so-and-so is
the whole high school,
right? The whole thing, right? And the parents, that's what I heard from my parents too. Mm-hmm. When somebody came out, and so the idea of a GSA was not even in the realm of possibility for when I was in school, and I didn't transition until I moved down here. But I don't think this small podunk town still has a GSA. I was looking at some organization that takes people in the community and sends them back to their school to share stories and do a speaking kind of thing. But they usually partner with the GSA at that school in order to line it up and schedule it and get it all worked out. And so I thought, wow, wouldn't it be fun? I haven't been back in a long, long time. But wouldn't it be fun to go back there and shock and awe, We don't have a GSA still. It's 2017. Yeah. My old high school still, so I'm like, never mind. I won't go back to Bigottville. But so I think that speaks to, the power of what a GSA can do for students. So,
exactly.
So anyway, go ahead on you.
I'm sure I would be preaching to the choir given this podcast.
We do have a kind of an intersectional audience. Again, as we talk about the things you shouldn't talk about at work, we have some people who come for the politics, we have some people who come for the religion, and then there's the LGBT group, and there's a kind of a Venn diagram of those people. So absolutely. So there's definitely an audience out there who may like me up until very recently. What's a GSA even, right? What do you guys do here on campus?
Right, and we actually get that question a lot. There are tabling events out here, and people say, what is GSA? Do I have to be gay for that, even though straight is in the name?
Right.
Yeah, sometimes. But for those people, GSAs are extracurricular clubs that are tailored to creating a safe space for students on campus who want to express their gender identity, sexuality, or anything within that sort of field. Also, just meeting other students who are just like them, because the power of that is huge.
Yes.
And then there's also things like leadership that come from that. Obviously, a club can't just be a social environment. there has to be some educational aspect to it.
Right.
And personally, with my GSA, I want to see students become leaders in their field. I want students to maximize on social skills, right? And how to be charismatic and convincing. And also just becoming an activist in the community, because at a school there's only so much you can do.
Right.
And if we're going to have the real policy changes, we have to develop that leadership right here.
Yes.
Right? We're already leaders by being students. Might as well go the next step.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
That's it.
I think we covered that. That's a good. Thank you for doing what you do. Seriously.
Yeah. And being well spoken enough to not leave anything open for us to have questions about.
You tied it all up in a nice little bow, and that makes for a really easy interview.
Awesome.
All right.
Cool. Well, thanks for swinging by and chatting with us about what you do, and much success in life. Really. It's awesome. Thank you for being a leader for our community.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for what you do. This is awesome.
Cool.
I've never seen something like this.
We have a lot of fun. This is SarahTalk Live. We are out at Valencia College in the East Campus in Orlando, and we're here for Transgender Day of Remembrance. And right now, we are going to talk to Tony. Tony is with the Human Rights Campaign. Tony, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization?
Sure. So myself, I'm a volunteer on the role. We have 30-some steering communities, volunteer communities around the country. Central Florida, Orlando Central Florida happens to be one of those. And I'm on a team of volunteers who do whatever programmatic work and volunteer recruitment we can for the Human Rights Campaign locally here for Central Florida. Been doing that work, I guess, since I moved here about 5 years ago for Central Florida, and then I did that in South Florida, just steering committee down there in the Fort Lauderdale area, and I was down there for about 15 years. So it's been 20 years.
Neck of the
That's
woods.
my neck of the woods. That's
really?
where I was raised. Yes, I was born and raised native Floridian.
Broward County?
Yes, Broward County,
Yep.
right in the North Fort Lauderdale area.
Yeah, Oakland Park. That's mine.
Yeah, I was in Pompano Beach.
Pompano Beach, yeah.
Right around the corner.
Very good.
Hey, neighbor.
So I think people are probably most familiar with the Human Rights Campaign from the equality logo, right? But and during the push for marriage equality, the creator of the most memes, right? So people are probably familiar with that, but I doubt they're as familiar with what the organization actually does.
Yep.
Beyond that.
Yeah. I mean, the kind of the shorthand, easy way to kind of describe what HRC does for most folks is just to explain it as the nation's largest civil rights organization that lobbies and works on behalf of LGBTQ Americans. So, and it really works at a federal level. So we're working towards getting the right congressional legislators and senators elected that are fair-minded and equality, right? And try to prevent those that are
that will go after 14-year-old girls. Can we get rid of those?
Yeah, well, for example. So, and then we work at issue level too. So we played a major role in the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. For marriage equality, with the Employment Non-Discrimination Act has been an act that we've been lobbying for that would add workplace protections. We've moved beyond that now, so the new piece of legislation is even more encompassing than in the Employment Non-Discrimination Act. It's called the Equality Act. And the Equality Act would simply go into the 1964 Civil Rights legislation and just simply add two simple things: gender identity and gender expression would be added to the existing language. So we're not writing a whole new act or a whole new law, or just simply codifying that. And that's probably one of the biggest pushes that we're working for. And then we do a lot of education work that isn't really political activism, but is kind of societal. Like, I think the one that folks are most familiar with is the Corporate Equality Index. And that's where companies compete or work towards getting a perfect 100 score on the workplace policies, anything from diversity training to healthcare coverage for domestic partner, as well as transgender, unique specific healthcare coverage that would be included in a healthcare policy. So we do that work for corporations. We also have a municipal equality index that scores cities that are interested in being rated, which is particularly like Birmingham, Alabama just received a 100 score.
Wow.
So you take a state like Alabama.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Right? And knowing that you have, if you will, these sanctuary cities for LGBTQ Americans, and that there's these cities that are working to achieve that with these perfect 100 scores. So we're excited about that work.
Yeah. Very cool.
I had a follow-up question, and then I lost
you
it.
lost it, didn't you? That blows my mind. 100 rating for Birmingham. Like
it does.
Like what kind of things does a city have to strive to do to get to that
Yeah,
point?
absolutely. So first, a human rights ordinance within a city that provides protections for gays, lesbians, bisexual, transgender Americans. Also, it would include city's an employer, just like an corporation is. So they need to have an internal non-discrimination policy. They need to have diversity training, diversity inclusion training, and that just to include LGBT issues and in their existing diversity training, healthcare benefits for same-sex partners, as well as for transgender protections and healthcare coverage. And then there's some other pieces that they work with police departments and making sure that police also have diversity training specifically within the department, which is usually like a little separate from City Hall. They kind of run parallel to with their own elected police chief, and so that has to be there. Usually, if either the city office and or the police department can have an LGBT liaison to the community liaison, that's kind of a requirement. And then we also will work with, if the city has like a city jail or a county jail, we'll work with them to make sure that they understand that they have policies in place around, which is particularly critical with the transgender community, and making sure what population do they put those folks with if they're arrested.
And that's a really high bar to meet.
Yeah.
For a city.
Yeah, it is.
Like that's good, right? It's not, we're just not handing out 100s. You got to work for it.
The expectation has to be.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So for average Joe citizen, what can people do to get involved with HRC?
Yep. Well, first of all, go to www.hrc.org.
There you go.
And really just check out the organization for yourself. There's also, if you're in Central Florida, there's a Facebook page where you can find out what's happening locally, or you can get to us through the national page. And that's the Orlando Central Florida HRC Steering Committee. And so once you're there, you can do a couple things. You can choose to volunteer like we do and say, hey, I want to volunteer at Pride. I want to volunteer at a Transgender Day of Remembrance event. What's your degree of, wanting to participate? Or maybe you want to be a leadership volunteer and kind of captain or organize work towards, or maybe you're more of a political bent and you say, I want a phone bank, I want to canvas, I want to work on campaigns. We can help you get organized and work at that level as well.
Plenty to do.
There is. And if you want to write a check, right, and fund that work and say, listen, I don't have time, but I have treasure, and that would be what I'm more comfortable with. We're, obviously very happy to help folks.
It takes a lot of resources to do a thing like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, appreciate you coming by and telling us about your organization. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. It was so nice meeting you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, I think we have one more, hopefully.
And then Jennifer, is that the plan?
I guess.
One more and then Jennifer?
I don't know.
I know she just brought me over here.
She's been doing that all day.
Yeah, we are going nonstop. I have like 35 notifications on my phone that say, where's the camera? That say SarahTalk.
All right, so why don't you tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so my name is Keri Griffin, and I am the LGBT Veteran Care Coordinator at the Orlando VA Medical Center.
Oh, nice.
I have been there for 12 years, but I've also been the LGBT coordinator for the last 7. So I provide group, individual, couples, and family therapy at the VA for all veterans, but my specialty is with the LGBT community at the VA. I also do outreach. I do trainings at the VA and in the community and outreach events like this. So all kinds of different things that I get to do, which is a lot of fun.
So how did you get involved in this? What was your...
So I've had a couple specialty areas. I'm an LCSW, so I'm a social worker.
Okay.
So I've been a social worker for the last 22 years. And so addiction is one of my specialties, but also working with the LGBT community is one of my specialties.
Very cool.
So at the VA, thankfully, we have a lot of different groups. We have a diversity committee, so we had different diversity programs, African American, Hispanic, Native American, et cetera, et cetera.
about 7 years ago, I said to our EEO, why don't we have an LGBT one? He's like, that's the next one we need to do. How about you do it? So be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Suggest a thing.
Right. So I said, sure, no problem. So I've been kind of building the plane while flying it the last 7 years because I was one of the first in the country. Now all of our VA facilities have LGBT coordinators, which is great. But I've been kind of doing it along the way. So how do we get LGBT individuals into the VA and working there, but also how do we help our LGBT veterans with services? Yeah.
That's
very
cool.
cool.
Especially when, in a time when transgender people are having such a hard time in the military with all of the garbage that's going on.
Correct. And I think a lot of people panic that we're not going to have services, but we do have a lot of services at the VA. So we do have, obviously, hormone replacement therapy, we have speech therapy, we have prosthetics, we have pre and post-op services, mental health clearances. So we do a lot of services at the VA for our transgender veterans.
And that probably most people don't know about.
That's correct. They don't. So spread the word.
And they're probably afraid to ask.
They are. I think we're getting more and more that are coming out of the woodwork, as we move forward and I do more outreach and we get into the community and start telling people. So that's important.
Right.
Yeah, it's very important.
And, you talk about all of these different diverse groups. Particularly when I think about veterans, I think about, first of all, you have a group of people who often come with their own set of problems just being in that veteran group, right? The PTSD, right? The mental health things that you have to work through.
Medical
And then
issues.
when you layer on all of this other stuff,
Yes.
like, holy crap.
Yes. So you're right. It is layer upon layer. There can be mental health issues, the medical issues. And then if they're afraid, do I tell my provider I'm gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, am I going to be able to still get services at the VA?
Right.
Am I going to be discriminated against? I mean, there's always that distrust of the government anyway that you're talking about.
Right.
And so it is kind of hurdle after hurdle to
Yeah.
overcome.
Yeah. Well, we kind of are proponents of universal health care, universal basic income, universal.
Yeah.
We're way left. But if there's a group that I had to pick that should be taken care of,
absolutely,
no questions asked.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And
it's
for all the chest beating we do and flag waving that we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we all know that.
The vets
there should be no
deserve the
question.
care, and I'm glad that we're there to provide it, and that we can do it for our LGBT veterans too. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Keri, thanks for swinging by and
thank you
telling
for
us about
having
what
me.
you do.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
home office.
We're very,
so I'm
very
good.
left, very left, and very, very
Vulgar.
vocal about how left we are.
Vocal. I picked a different V word.
You were close. We're a little too vocal
All
for
right.
some people.
I said vulgar. You said vocal.
Same thing.
difference.
More or less.
I just did it. All right, and we're back. We're live on Facebook.
Didn't see you thinking that.
We are doing SarahTalk live at Transgender Day of Remembrance here at Valencia.
What a day it has been.
It is, and it's getting dark. We're getting ready to move inside to do the speaker sessions.
Yes.
But I think there's one more person we're going to talk to here. So why don't you tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself.
Wonderful. Well, my name is Tatiana Quiroga. I'm the Southern Regional Manager for Family Equality Council. We are a national nonprofit that specifically services LGBTQ families. And so doing the entire umbrella of what a family consists of, how do you put one together, support systems, resources, all that kind of stuff. So, and obviously, having a family, being a family, what all the different components that come into that. There's special things that having a family and kids, require
Absolutely.
and need.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then when you mix in, like for me, I think of the things that I've gone through with my family, right? We got married before my transition.
Okay.
Right? So I'm dealing with documents that are still hanging out there that, yes, we have this stupid rule that you have to have surgery to change your birth certificate, which is stupid.
Right.
But also our marriage license, all of that stuff that happened before. We bought a house.
The
and
deed.
The deed to the
Right,
house, and they
right.
wanted like $400 to write a
Right.
new deed. Like, are you kidding
Right,
me? Just
right,
to change my
right.
name?
And you're
Come
like,
on.
it's my house. Like,
right.
the same house I've been
paying
living
it.
in. Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
paying the mortgage.
You don't
Exactly.
care whose
Nothing
name is
else.
on the check.
Right, exactly. You're going to cash it either way.
Exactly. So then I think about, we have kids, and they go to school.
And their birth certificates.
And their birth certificates.
Yes.
But even just beyond that, like they go to school and they have friends, and their friends have parents, and all of these different people have different ideas about life.
Sure.
You know? So there's a lot of, just in being an LGBTQ family, there are a lot of different things that people have to deal with.
Almost definitely. Daycare, pediatricians, you know, how are you walking into a situation, and is it going to be safer, you know, for our children, and what are other people going, you know, you drop your kid off at school and you're worried of not just the peers, but are the teachers, how, you know, how inclusive are the teachers going to be, and is your child going to be treated equally? You know, and fairly, and even with like daycare, where at least in a school system you're hoping that there's some kind of, you know, but in a daycare, you know, lots of those are private and smaller, and so that's where we come in and be able to like really help and be able to help build communities, which we all know, you know, we never want any of our families to feel like they're alone, because they're not. You know, there's lots of us, and families happen, and you know, and all of our families have such individual stories and how they've come together and what they look like and how they identify and all those things. So being able to create that community, and also being able to provide resources. And then a newer aspect that we're starting to get into is how to create families. You know, because a lot of people don't realize the options that are out there for them. You know, and they're still thinking back in the old days where they're like, well, can I even adopt? And it's like, oh, sweetie, you can adopt, you can foster, you can surrogate, you know, you can do so many different options that are actually out there for us to be able to create families. And, you know, just because of, you know, our identification does not stop us whatsoever. You know, and studies are showing that our kids are just fine. That's the best part, is that, you know, there's several studies that are backing up that our kids are just fine. You know, because we have to work so hard to have them. There's nothing that comes easy about creating our families, regardless of how they're created. We've really, you know, we don't have the privileges of oopses lots of times. So, you know, we have to work so much harder. Well, that's good. That's awesome.
Best thing ever.
And I think we were really lucky the way that we built our family, but I think about all the time, like, people that are not that lucky, that like somebody can just go out and get pregnant, no big deal, and not even want that child, or be able to take care of that child. And then you have people that want so desperately to have children, and they have to jump through fire. And it's like, why is it got to be so hard for them? When you can just go get drunk one night and make a mistake, and now here you have a for sure.
And you go to adopt, and it costs tens of thousands of dollars, and home visits to make sure the TV's not going to fall on the kid. All of this stuff that you can just go home tonight and make a baby, and nobody even notices.
You know, where you're literally, that was what happened with my wife and I. She's the biological parent. So, you know, I had to literally go and adopt my own child, and we had to do home studies, and like, she had to do the background check because she was the other adult living in the house, but she's the bio mom who birthed the child, you know, and
so insane.
And we had to pay just the same.
It's so
insane.
And
it's just crazy. But, you know, those are the things that we do and the sacrifices that we make to have families.
And it's worth it.
It totally
always
is.
worth it.
Yes, and that's what we like to be able to, you know, provide that you've got to make sure that you jump through those hoops, you know, dot those T's, and, you know, cross those T's and dot those I's to be able to protect our families. You know, you don't want to take shortcuts, because unfortunately it's them that ends up suffering. You know, that we want to be able to have, you know, our protection for our kids as much as possible.
So if people want to find out more, is there
you can
a
go
website
to www.familyequality.org.
Awesome.
So,
cool. Well, thank you so much for stopping by and telling us about your group and what you do. Thank you so much. All right, I hope you enjoyed the interviews that we did at Transgender Day of Remembrance 2017. We were at Valencia College East. This is part one of a two-part, I think it will be, set of episodes. After this, we moved inside, and there was an awesome speaker session. And so we've got the recording of that speaker session and the panelists who talked. And that'll be part two of this episode set. As soon as I get it edited, we'll get it out to you so that you can enjoy it. As always, we want to thank our patrons for making the show happen. They're also the ones that make these events possible for us. You know, it takes quite a commitment to pack up the studio and head over to the other side of town. We drove an hour from home to be a part of this event this year. And it was totally worth it. And, the gas money comes from our patrons this week. So thank you so much to our patrons. They are part-time patron Russell, Andrea, Jeremy, Stacy, Heather, Harry, Josie, Morgan, and Megan. We love you guys so much. Thank you so much for supporting our show and helping us do events like these. Go to SarahTalk.com for all the things related to the show. Get links to our secret Facebook group, which isn't so secret. You can check out our merchandise. We have some new things up there. Print out a flat Jesus and play along with our game. All at SarahTalk.com.
Sarah Talk is made possible by listener support. Visit patreon.com/SarahTalk to become a patron and help keep this program going. Contact Sarah and Company by email at producer@SarahTalk.com or call 224-40-SARAH. That's 224-407-2724. And follow us on social media, facebook.com/SarahTalkRadio and on Twitter @SarahTalkRadio. Sarah Talk is a production of Sarah Austin Media.